John Harbaugh is in the eye of the storm in Baltimore right now. The head coach who once lifted the Ravens to Super Bowl glory in 2-0 EDOs is now facing mounting pressure and real questions about whether he's still the right man to lead this franchise. What used to be loyalty and admiration from fans is quickly turning into frustration, and even some of the team's former players are beginning to voice their concerns out loud. The Baltimore Ravens are at a crossroads, and Harbaugh is standing right in the middle of it. After another rough start to the season, with Baltimore sitting at a disappointing 1 Victoria and 5 derrotas, the patience of the fanbase is wearing thin. Sure, injuries have played a role, but they always do in the NFL. And for a franchise that has had Lamar Jackson under center, expectations are way higher than just being competitive. Fans want playoff wins. They want a shot at another Super Bowl. But what they're getting right now feels like a team stuck in neutral. Former Ravens defensive lineman Chris Canty made headlines this week when he openly questioned whether Harbaugh's voice still resonates inside the locker room. On a radio appearance, Canty didn't mince words. He acknowledged Harbaugh's past success, but was brutally honest in saying that sometimes a coach's message goes stale, and that may be the case right now in Baltimore. He pointed out that since that Super Bowl run, Harbaugh has only managed Trace Victoria's playoffs in more than a decade. That's not the standard that Ravens fans, or former players, expect from this organization. And look, this isn't about disrespecting Harbaugh. No one is ignoring what he's accomplished. But this is about asking the tough questions. Is Harbaugh the coach who can get the most out of Lamar Jackson during his prime? Is he making the right decisions in the biggest moments? Because when a team keeps falling short in the postseason year after year, eventually the focus shifts from the players to the man in charge. This isn't just a media narrative either. Inside Baltimore, the conversation is getting louder, and there's not a lot of middle ground. You've got fans who are still fully behind Harbaugh, loyal to the stability he brings. Then you've got a growing group calling for a fresh voice, a new direction. And honestly, it's hard to blame them. The Ravens have had talent. They've had chances. And still, nothing to show for it when it matters most. You can even look at how other franchises have handled similar situations. Bill Belichick in New England, arguably the greatest coach of all time, is watching his tenure fade into the background because the results just aren't there anymore. Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh, same story. Great coach, great resume, but when the postseason drought drags on, no one is immune to scrutiny. And Harbaugh, for all his experience and leadership, is not an exception. Lamar Jackson is going to turn 29 at the end of this season. That means he's already well into his prime. And it raises the question, are the Ravens maximizing their window with him as the franchise quarterback? Because let's be real, this team doesn't just want to make the playoffs. They want to win it all. And if that isn't happening year after year, you have to start looking at the guy running the show. Another former Raven, Eric Weddle, also spoke up about the coaching issues in Baltimore. He talked about game management, red zone execution, and how crucial decisions just haven't been good enough. He pointed to sequences where the Ravens seemed to overthink everything, going with complex or cute play calls instead of doing what works, like giving the ball to Derrick Henry on the goal line. Weddle made it clear, coaching matters. And when things aren't working, the head coach has to step in and take control. Now, Harbaugh isn't the one calling the offensive or defensive plays directly. That's on Todd Monken and Zach Orr. But let's not pretend the head coach doesn't have influence. If Harbaugh really wanted to override a call or change direction in a key moment, he could. And maybe that's part of the issue. Maybe he's too loyal to his guys. We saw it with Greg Roman, who stuck around way too long as offensive coordinator. And we're seeing it now with Zach Orr, a first-time coordinator clearly still finding his footing. Most coaches would have made a change already. But Harbaugh? He sticks with his people. Sometimes to a fault. That loyalty is admirable. It's part of what made Harbaugh so successful for so long. But in today's NFL, things move fast. And when you don't adapt, you fall behind. The league evolves every year. Offensive systems change. Defenses get more creative. And if your head coach can't stay ahead of the curve, or worse, refuses to, then that becomes a problem. What makes all of this more complicated is that Harbaugh isn't just the head coach. He's the public face of the franchise. Owner Steve Bisciotti doesn't speak to the media often. General manager Eric DeCosta operates mostly behind the scenes. It's Harbaugh who stands in front of reporters week after week, answering the tough questions. He's the voice. the symbol of the Ravens. But if that voice has grown stale, like Canny suggested, then maybe it's time for a new one. And that's where this situation gets tricky. Because even if the fans are ready to move on, the Ravens organization might not be. Harbaugh has one more year on his contract. And from everything being said around the league, no one believes he's getting fired, even if the team finishes with a losing record. That's the level of respect he commands. That's the level of stability he's provided. If the Ravens let him go, he'd be hired by another team in a matter of days. Probably hours. But this isn't about respect. It's about results. And right now, the results aren't good enough. You've got a team that hasn't won a playoff game in years, a defense that's inconsistent, and an offense that can't seem to find its identity. And when you have a generational quarterback like Lamar Jackson, you can't afford to waste time. So what's the breaking point? What's the moment where the Ravens front office finally says, "We need to make a change"? Is it another early playoff exit? Is it missing the postseason entirely? Or is it just this growing sense that the energy, the culture, the spark, whatever you want to call it, is fading under Harbaugh's leadership? There's still time to turn things around, but not much. The bye week might be the only breather this team gets before a brutal stretch of games. And if they come out flat, if they drop another winnable matchup, especially against the Bears next week, then the conversation is going to get even louder. And if there's one thing fans, analysts, and even former players agree on, it's this: the Ravens can't keep going down the same road, hoping for a different result. That's been the story for too long. Solid regular seasons followed by postseason collapses. It's happened with Lamar Jackson. It happened with Joe Flacco near the end of his run. And the common thread throughout? John Harbaugh. That's why this next stretch of the season is so important. The bye week gave everyone a chance to breathe, reset, and hopefully regroup. But there are no more excuses now. Lamar Jackson is expected to return. Roquan Smith should be back on the field. Pat Ricard is also expected to rejoin the lineup. The injury list is shrinking, and the time for wait and see is over. This is it. This is the roster. And Harbaugh has to deliver. The Ravens' first test? The Chicago Bears, a team that, early in the year, looked like a guaranteed win on the schedule. But not anymore. The Bears are playing hard, they found some rhythm, and they're not going to just roll over. If Baltimore loses that game, drops to 1 Victoria and cease to Rodas, the season may be unsalvageable. And at that point, fans won't just be questioning Harbaugh. They'll be demanding change. The pressure is also mounting on the coordinators. Todd Monken came in with high expectations. He was supposed to modernize the offense, create more balance, and make the most of Lamar Jackson's dual-threat ability. And to his credit, there have been flashes of real progress. But there have also been stretches, especially in the red zone, where the offense stalls, looks confused, or simply outsmarts itself. That moment in the Rams game, where the team called back-to-back quarterback sneaks from the 1-yard line, instead of giving the ball to Derrick Henry, was a perfect example. It wasn't just a bad decision. It felt disconnected from the identity of the team. And Monken knew it. He admitted it in his press conference after the game. He took accountability, saying he had regrets, that those calls weren't the right ones. That level of honesty is refreshing, no doubt. But at this level, being honest isn't enough. The results have to follow. Then there's the defense. Zach Orr is in over his head. That much is becoming clearer every week. The defense lacks discipline. It's inconsistent against both the pass and the run. The blitz packages are unimaginative. And the coverage schemes often leave too much space, especially on key downs. Some of the schemes look familiar to what Mike McDonald used, but without the timing, execution, or creativity. It feels like a poor imitation of a once-elite defense. And the real question is, how long does Harbaugh stick with Orr? Because history tells us, he won't make a change during the season. He's loyal to a fault. Greg Roman stayed at least 1 year too long. So did Wink Martindale. The same pattern is repeating. That's a problem. When the loyalty starts to outweigh results, it becomes a liability. This brings us back to the core issue. Harbaugh has become more than just a head coach. He's the face of the Ravens organization. He's the guy at the podium every week. He's the figure everyone looks to when things go wrong or right. And that's fine when things are trending upward. But when a team is spiraling, the face of the franchise becomes the symbol of frustration. Steve Bisciotti has always valued stability. He's not a reactionary owner. He doesn't pull the trigger just to make headlines. And that's why Harbaugh has lasted this long. But at some point, you have to separate loyalty from logic. You have to ask the hard question, is this the best we can do? Because if the answer is no, then staying the course becomes a decision, not an accident. And that's a decision that will have consequences. If the Ravens waste another season of Lamar Jackson's prime, that's not just on the players. That's on the organization. That's on the front office. And that's on John Harbaugh. The truth is, this team was built to win now. This is not a rebuilding year. This isn't a season where people expected growing pains. This is a roster with veterans, with talent on both sides of the ball, and with a quarterback who's already won an MVP. The expectations were crystal clear from day one. Get to the Super Bowl. Not just compete. Not just improve. Win. And yet, here we are, halfway through the season, with more questions than answers. The offense isn't in rhythm. The defense is getting gashed. And the team's record is closer to the bottom of the league than the top. That's unacceptable. And if it doesn't turn around quickly, then change has to come. Now, the Ravens could still go on a run. It's possible. Lamar Jackson is electric. When he's healthy and confident, he's one of the most dangerous weapons in the league. The run game can dominate. The defense has pieces, even if they're not always being used correctly. But the margin for error is razor thin. One more bad loss, one more misstep, and the season could be gone. Which is why this Bears game is so critical. It's not just about getting another win. It's about setting a tone. It's about showing the fan base and the locker room that the team is still fighting, that there's still belief. Because if the Ravens come out flat, uninspired, and sloppy, then it's hard to see how they dig themselves out of this hole. This is the moment where leadership has to show up. Not just from Lamar, but from Harbaugh himself. He has to rally this group. He has to prove that his voice still matters, that his message still gets through. Because if he can't do that now, in the middle of a season on the brink, then what are we even doing here? And that's what the next few weeks will reveal. Not just whether the Ravens can climb back into the playoff race, but whether Harbaugh is still the right man to lead them. Is he evolving with the league? Is he willing to make tough choices? Can he adapt, motivate, and inspire a locker room that seems to be drifting? Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support keeps us bringing you the latest news on the Baltimore Ravens. And hey, drop your take in the comments below. We want to hear from the flock. The NFL world is buzzing with whispers that could shake the league to its core. According to sources close to team operations, the Baltimore Ravens are reportedly closing in on a blockbuster move, pairing Lamar Jackson with none other than Tyreek Hill. Yes, the same Tyreek Hill whose blazing speed has terrorized defenses for years could soon be lining up in purple and black, creating a duo that has executives, coaches, and fans alike scrambling to adjust. While nothing has been officially confirmed, insiders suggest that negotiations have intensified in recent days, with the Ravens reportedly willing to go all in to secure Hill's signature. The mere thought of Hill running routes for Jackson is enough to send shivers down the spine of every defensive coordinator in the league. Imagine a quarterback with Jackson's agility, arm talent, and playmaking vision combining forces with a receiver whose speed can turn a 5-yard gain into a 60-yard touchdown in the blink of an eye. It's a nightmare matchup for any defense. Speculation is now running rampant across social media and sports talk shows. Some analysts are already projecting the Ravens as instant Super Bowl contenders if the deal materializes, while others are cautiously skeptical, citing salary cap implications and team chemistry. But even the hint of a Lamar plus CHEETAH combo is enough to dominate headlines, with fan forums lighting up with mock-ups, memes, and endless debates. League executives are reportedly in a frenzy, trying to anticipate how this could reshape the AFC landscape. Teams that thought they had a shot at Jackson or Hill now face a daunting prospect, a pairing that could redefine offensive football in the coming seasons. Even rival franchises are said to be revisiting their draft boards and free agent strategies in response to the buzz. While the final word remains unspoken, the excitement and panic is palpable. One thing is clear. If Lamar Jackson and Tyreek Hill do indeed unite under the Ravens banner, the NFL will never look the same again. Every game will suddenly carry an edge of inevitability, and defensive coordinators everywhere may start sleeping with one eye open. The league is watching, fans are dreaming, and the rumor mill is roaring louder than ever. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay in the loop with exclusive news on our Baltimore Ravens, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what the flock thinks. Drop your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next one.